Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Excellent. I'm so glad that you all chose to be with us this morning. Let's see if that helps. We got a little feedback. Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh. It is Sunday, March 30th of 2025. I'm the Reverend Dr. Kate R. Walker. I use the she, her pronouns, and I am absolutely honored to serve as the minister of this beloved community. For those with visual disability, I'm a middle-aged, light-skinned female with mid-length, light brown hair, and I wear glasses. Today I'm wearing a blue shift with a colorful flowered stole on a black background. Beloved community, you are welcome here. You are welcome here, whether you are in person here in our beautiful sanctuary, or if you are online on YouTube, somewhere on this planet. You are welcome here now or in the future. We are delighted to have you. If you are brand new and just entered here for the first time and you are an introvert, I give you extra credit for showing up this morning. For those of you out in YouTube land, I know where you are. I know you're doing fine, and we're glad that you joined us. We would love to be in touch with you. If you're out there in the internet world, please make sure you check out our website, sign up for our newsletter, which you will find at the bottom of our main web page. That's an opt-in newsletter, and you also get my pastoral care messages. And if you are here in person for the first time, please make sure that you stop by our welcome desk, and we would love to be in touch with you, share your contact information, and find out all the wonderful things that we engage here and who we are in this community. And if you're a longtime member, thank you. Thank you for your deep commitment and your love for this community. We are a multi-faith religious community where all are welcome. Diversity is celebrated and created. Questions are expected. We're all growing, we're learning, we're loved just as we are. And I want to make one note, a slight addition to the order of service, which I'm sure you would have noticed it was missing, and that is our chalice lighting. Directly following the announcements, we will be lighting our chalice. I know you already noticed. So last week, we heard a wonderful announcement from Brian Junker, the chair of the Board of Trustees, using his banjo. And he talked about how we need volunteers who are willing to step forward into leadership, particularly on the Board of Trustees. And I thought, what a wonderful opportunity to also extend today. We have some other positions that we really need your service on, one of which is organizing social hour. Seems important, unless you all have given up coffee for Lent, which I doubt. We also need a couple positions on the Council of Communities. If you're interested, the Serve and the Connect positions are open. Please see me if you are interested in that. In the Council of Communities, it's a really wonderful opportunity to find out exactly all the things, and you'll be in the middle of everything. It's awesome. The Committee on Shared Ministry has a couple positions open, and this is for somebody who has been a member for 3 or more years, and it's a committee that works very closely with me as the Council of Communities. And that committee's purpose is to overview and just monitor the health and wholeness of our whole community. So please, if any of those interest you, please let me know. Please let me know. Now, today I am going to be looking at introversion versus extroversion, or extroversion, and so. But there's also some implications beyond what I say today about pastoral care and how we care for ourselves and each other. So I want to invite you that directly after this service, the Pastoral Care Committee is going to be hosting an introductory and information sharing about 2 new support committees that are opening up, that are going to be launching in the next few weeks. One of them is for those who are providing caregiving, whether it's to a parent or a spouse or to a child or family member. So this is a support for those who are engaged in caregiving, and the other is also for people who are experiencing acute forms of grief and loss. And it's not necessarily grief or loss from a death, but it may be about loss of, you're struggling with hope right now, or just loss in general just seems to be too much. So please, if you would like, we're going to be in, I think, the Shenley, where is that? We're going to be in Shenley Plaza. No. We'll be in the room right across the hall here in the Schweitzer room. And please join us as the Pastoral Care Committee hosts that event. Next week, I want to see this place packed with all our devoted members as we launch the public stage of our capital campaign, which is, I'm so excited about this, I can't even begin to tell you. So some of the things, I know I have a wonderful illustration of one of the things that we are absolutely going to do. Have you noticed, well, just look up at the light bulbs. So there are a few out. There are a few that are functioning but decided not to go on today. And what you may not remember is that a couple years ago, the computer board that controls our lighting system experienced a shock when the building was struck by lightning. So we only have on and off, and even the on is dodgy. So we need to replace all those light bulbs with LED lights so we can save money, live in our values for stewardship, for the green commitment to our planet, and it will help reduce the heat in the summer when the lights are on and help reduce the cooling need. So it's a really important thing, and replacing the computer board, which I do weekly prayers over. Please work today. The other is, and I know some of you are going, whoa, wait, hold on. We need to bring this sanctuary up into a different level of technological commitment. And so what we are looking at doing is putting a digital screen there and a digital screen over there and a couple more back there, and it'll be fully integrated. So I know in our sanctuary, digital screens. Have you been over to East Liberty and their beautiful cathedral? They have screens. National Cathedral in DC, they have screens. I've been told on good authority that most churches these days that have the commitment from their members have digital screens. And this is about accessibility for people who are visually or audio impaired, that it helps bring better visuals, and we can have lyrics to the hymns, but it also means that with better lighting, we can see each other, but it also means, like at our congregational meeting, we can see people who are on Zoom, which is a really great way to interact. But it also means we can bring guest speakers in from anywhere in the world, including our beloved partners in India in the Khasi Hills. So there's so much potential. So I invite you to ease into your resistance in our historic building. We can do this. We can do this. And just bring this up into a different level of commitment for accessibility and interaction. I'm very excited about that. But there's some other important things. We also have a big aspirational goal, which is to completely re-landscape our front and our backyards so they're more accessible for everybody, more inviting. And I gotta say, the renderings that we have, thank you to our Jim Pashek, who has created these with his team at work, and they are gorgeous, and those will be revealed next week. So you get to see the reach goal or aspirational goals of what we would like to do. And there's a couple more things that, like, I don't know, heating and cooling. The Mason wing seems important. How many of you know, anybody know how old, not Martin Schmidt, you know, how old is the furnace in the Mason wing? Anybody take a guess? 100 years old, you're close. Yeah, it's original. It's original. That Mason wing was built in the 1950s. Yeah. We've got some work to do to take care of our beautiful building and our grounds, and I know you all are committed to doing that. So we're going to launch that next week, and I'm really excited about that, and I know you will join me on that assignment and that excitement wagon after next week's wonderful testimonials and my challenge to all of you. Yeah. So I invite you to arrive in body and spirit, be present in this time and space. Find yourselves connected to one another right now with each breath. Find yourselves connected, all those in Pittsburgh gathered in times of worship throughout this weekend, and connected to Unitarian Universalists across this country and this world. We are not alone, my beloved, as we turn to our chalice lighting. The symbol of our faith, of two circles, Unitarians and Universalists, as we come together to build the beloved community, recommitting ourselves to a faith that is here to help change this world into one of beauty and hope and love for all. I invite you to stand as you're able, embody their spirit. 1000 in the teal hymnal, Morning Has Come.
Please be seated. I now invite you to join your voices with mine for our collective reading. This week we are doing our UU values, and the words can be found in your order of service as well as in your hearts. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We covenant to practice interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence. To practice pluralism, we celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. To practice justice, we work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. To practice transformation, we adapt to the changing world. To practice generosity, we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. To practice equity, we declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. I now invite up Reverend Kate for our story.
Every good story has characters. Anybody want to help? with the dragons. They're out today. Come on down. Find a dragon. Go ahead, grab the dragon. I need your help with this. For those who are new and are wondering what's with the dragons, it's just a thing I do. The dragons have been adopted me at the beginning of my ministry. Yep, here we go. We got some more. There's some more here. Do you guys want to share with those who are still coming up? Yep, there's some more. Here, this is Rougie. Anybody want Rougie? That's Rougie. Yep, there's some more little, there's Blue. Do you want Blue? Yeah, there we go. And there's some more. There you go. You want Pink? That's Pink. Okay. There's a big one over here. Okay. Mac, would you be Gwendola? Gwendola is the leader of the pack. Yeah. That's very good. Yeah. All right. Has everybody got a dragon that wants a dragon? There's some more over here. Any adults want dragons? I mean, if you want a dragon, come join in. There's some more. This is a dog that is really a dragon. We have 3 more. Yeah. I knew I could count on Brooke. Absolutely. Okay. All right, you guys ready? So I need your help with this story. We have a dragon. Yeah, we have a dragon, and whose name is Wally. This is Wally. I had to remind myself. This is Wally. And Wally is invited to a party. All right, and you all are at the party. Okay? But at the party, what happens at parties? You celebrate. That's right. There's lots of celebrating. Do you guys want to get together and celebrate with your party? You kind of have, yeah? And what else do you do? Yeah? You dance. Excellent. Dancing at the party. What else do you do at the party? Talk. Yeah, people talk to each other. Yeah. Okay, this is an underage party. There's no alcohol. Is that okay? All right. There is non-alcoholic punch. How about some cookies? Yeah? Dancing, cookies, and talking, and punch, and all. So you guys are at a party, and Wally is there as well. And Wally is kind of over here, hanging out, looking, and over comes Pink. Come over. And Pink says, "Hey, Wally, why aren't you dancing?" Hey, Wally, you want to say that? No, okay. So that's fine. So other people come over and say, "Hey, Wally, why aren't you dancing?" Yeah, and Wally's like, "Oh, I'm fine over here. I'm fine. That's okay." And then somebody else comes over and says, "No, Wally," and grabs Wally's hand, a claw, and says, "No, you have to dance." And Wally's like, "Okay, I'll dance, okay." And then Wally says, "Okay, I've had enough." And then somebody else comes over and says, "Hey, Wally, how come you're not saying anything?" Yeah, and Wally's like, "Well, that's okay. I don't need to say anything." Hey, Haven, do you want to do dragon? There's the one. And Wally says, "No, I don't have anything to say. I'm okay." And somebody says, "Well, Wally, why did you come to the party if you're not going to dance and you're not going to talk?" What do you think Wally should say? Any ideas? What? Have a good party anyway. Yeah. As Wally's just kind of hanging out over here looking at the world. And then the next day, the party's over. Gwendola texts Wally. Text. And said, "Hey, Wally.
Hey, Wally.
Can we chat for a moment?
Can we chat, Wally?
And Wally says, okay. So Gwendolyn comes over, and Gwendolyn says, it's okay if you just want to hang out at the side of the party and not be in the middle of the party. And Wally says, it is? Everybody said I should be dancing and I should be talking. And Gwendolyn says, no, it's okay. Maybe you are introverted. Introverted. What do you think that means? Introverted. Have you guys ever heard that big word? No. Yeah. Introverted just means that somebody just is fine being over here in the side of the party and doesn't need to be in the middle of the party. And they're fine. Is anybody here like being on the side of the party? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, anybody else? You do. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few. Is anybody like being in the middle of the party and lots of energy? Is that, yeah. Excellent. Okay, excellent. And we need both, and those are called extroverts. All right, a moment about the spelling. I confirmed you can spell extra or extrovert, both are acceptable. Okay? For my grammarians in the place, you can use A or O, okay? So you can move on, let go. So we have some extroverts, the people who like being in the middle of the party and they get lots of energy. And then we have some people who are just like, I'm fine over here. I'm fine over here. I like being alone. And sometimes I like to go to the party and sometimes I don't. And they're introverts. And that's okay. And some of us are young enough that we may not know yet. I bet your parents know. Yeah. Any last thoughts? Anybody else think they might be an introvert? Yeah? Okay. Cool. Are you going to go to a party today? No. All right. That's cool. Well, we're just learning today that however you come into community and your neighbors and your friends is something that's acceptable and okay, and we celebrate it, right? You don't always have to be in the middle of the party, and sometimes you do want to be in the middle of the party. How's that? That's good. So, what's happening next? Class? Let's sing them all out to class. Excellent. Words are in our program. Thank you all very much for coming to the party. I appreciate and helping me with the story. You can bring the dragons back. They'll be here again sometime.
Thank you, Rob, for doing all of our hymn leading by yourself today. It is incredible, and we are very thankful for it. This week, like all weeks, we are doing a share the plate. The way that this works is that half of the money into the plate goes to our operating budget, and half of the money goes to a partner who carries out our UU values into the world. For the month of March, we have been sharing the plate with our Kazi Hills partners in northern India. We've been partnered with them for more than 20 years and have been supporting the Annie Margaret Barr School out there. And I want you to think about sharing the plate not just as a chance to work with and support these things that we care about, but also as a chance to practice the UU value of generosity and of cultivating that in yourself and in your communities so that you're more likely to do it as you go out into the world. So, however you are able to be generous, however you are interested in being generous, we accept your generosity. If you have a dragon's hoard of coins, or if you just have a few nickels, either will be wonderfully accepted. I now invite up our ushers.
It's so nice to have Lee with us this morning. Thank you. So many joys in this world that sometimes get swallowed up by the many sorrows and the many broken hearts. I hope you are all cultivating them, both the joys. One of the things that the human journey invites us to do is the greater we expand our capacity for sorrow and let it ease into our hearts and our bodies, the greater the capacity for joy. They come together as we expand our capacity to experience life in its fullness. Please remember that none of us are on our journey alone. We need only reach out to one person to share our joys and our sorrows, and then our world expands a little bit more. I invite you now into a time of peaceful quiet and silence, of meditation or prayer. Spirit of life, Spirit of the earth, holding us up. May our blood and our veins remind us of our pulsing heart. And we feel the capacity for compassion in our hearts and minds. As we face a world that feels overwhelming and disempowering, may we remember the voice that we have and our ability to sing out and speak out. May we remember the mind, the magnificent mind that we have, and ideas to help create hope and renewal. May we remember our capacity to help one another in this journey, and all the ways that we can be engaged in resistance and resilience and healing. When our world is overwhelming, may we remember to reconnect to community, to reconnect to the earth and the trees and the flowers and the sun and the moon. May we remember to reconnect to one another, beating hearts and the pulsing of blood in our bodies on a journey together, building beloved community. Blessed be, and amen. I invite you to stay seated as we sing 1012 in the Teal hymnal, When I Am Frightened.
Our reading today comes from a slam poet named Kevin Yang, who is an Asian American man around my age, and unlike myself, is an introvert. For those of you who know me, you may think of me as very extroverted, and in many ways this is true. I love being around people. And I also have that introversion in me. Last night, I was looking for food and I was lying in bed, and I was trying to figure out, how can I get food right now while seeing as few people as humanly possible, and begrudging the fact that it was a Saturday in Lawrenceville, and if I went somewhere, I would see someone. I figured it out. I got an empanada. It was delicious. But all of us have our introversion and our extroversion. And so when you hear me read Kevin Yang's words, find that introversion in yourself and suspend your disbelief if you are only able to think of me as extroverted. This is a poem called How to Love Your Introvert. We introverts are not always the best at breaking the ice, so in order to get the ball rolling, we often have to resort to tactics that may seem obscure to your average extrovert. This may include subtle clearings of the throat, gentle hand gesturing, and numbers placed carefully into routine conversations where they normally do not belong. 2, you may be asking yourself, how can I be sure that I'm speaking to an actual introvert and not someone merely masquerading as one? Well, here are a few telltale signs. If the person wraps their arm around your shoulder as they're introducing themselves for the first time, probably not an introvert. If the person uses the words unwind and nightclub in the same sentence, probably not an introvert. If the person attempts to engage in any conversation whatsoever about the weather, and they're not from Minnesota, probably not an introvert. 3, to set the record straight, I do not hate people, but I do get pretty damn tired of them sometimes. Just pretend for a second that my desire to socialize could be equated to my desire to exercise. This means a quick jog around the block would be a lot like catching a cup of coffee with a friend. Bar hopping with buddies would be like finishing a 6-minute mile. And my senior prom was a little bit like running the Ironman in the middle of August. Now, you see, I don't hate people any more than they hate a little bit of exercise. But you wouldn't challenge an Olympian to a marathon after he just finished a race. Understand that when I tell you I can't hang out tonight, I just came back from a poetry jam, maybe it's not because I hate you, maybe it's because I'm tired. 4, there will be many times when you will be uncomfortable in my silence, unsure of how I am feeling. Understand that just because I do not wear my heart on my sleeve for everyone to see does not mean that it beats any softer than yours. Do not confuse the stillness of my lips for the rhythm of apathy. Do not confuse the sound of words rattling off 80 beats per minute with the music of an actual conversation. Just because I cannot commit to the act of small talk does not mean that I don't have huge things to say. Just because I find peace within myself does not mean I could ever stop wanting to love so hard because 5, we introverts are not always the best at breaking the ice. So we often have to resort to tactics that may seem obscure to your average extrovert. This may include subtle clearings of the throat, gentle hand gesturing, and writing an entire poem just to say 6, I love you more than quiet trips to the library. I love you more than canceling Friday night plans. Baby, I love you more than Tumblr. But when the world is shouting far too loudly for us to hear our own voices, and when these words cling far too tightly to my own chest, I just want you to know that I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you, Kate.
Yeah. I learned I was an introvert in 1994. It was my first year of seminary, and for credentialing in the Unitarian Universalist Association, we have to take a battery of psychological exams, which are all very helpful and insightful in learning about ourselves. My reaction, though, to learning I was an introvert was somewhere between surprise and shock. The tool was the Myers-Briggs MBTI. I'll let you sort out whether or not you trust that tool. I was just over the line from extrovert, just barely into introvert. No, I was surprised because I'd always had a circle of friends around me throughout school. I was often in leadership roles. I attended parties in high school and college. I hosted dinner parties frequently. I arranged for weekend ski trips for friends, and so I really thought I was an extrovert. I liked being around people, so it took time for me to sort this disconnect out. Yet 2 more times over the next few years that I took the Myers-Briggs, I became more introverted. I was thoroughly on the wall of flowers in the introversion camp. So maybe this is a surprise to you, this was a surprise to me, that most Unitarian Universalist clergy are introverts. I heard a joke once from a colleague who said, by the time they retire, they move to the middle of Maine. Ministry may be a hard place for introverts, and in other ways, it's a really good match, ministry and introversion. So what makes an introvert versus an extrovert? It's actually pretty simple. Just ask what energizes us and what kills our energy. Being around large groups of people, engaging in conversation with total strangers, claiming the center of attention and holding it, engaging in vibrant and outgoing behavior, thinking out loud. All of these exhaust me. For most clergy, doesn't matter what denomination, Sunday afternoons are best spent on the couch with a bowl of chips in one hand and the remote control in the other. My sweet spot is one-on-one meetings. I love that. A cup of tea between us. I also love working alone with my music and a dog at my side, or maybe 2 or 3 dogs. For Unitarian Universalist clergy, being introverted can also help relate to those in our pews. According to a poll that I saw well over 30 years ago, Unitarian Universalists disproportionately are introverts compared to the general U.S. population. Some studies put the U.S. population at about 2/3 are extroverted. So let's see who is in the pews today, shall we? Who is willing to self-identify as an introvert? Is that the majority, you think? Yeah. Welcome. And those of you in YouTube, I know you're there. I do. I know you're there. So if it's true, then, that this is a fairly good sample of most Unitarian Universalist churches, and that majority of Unitarian Universalists are indeed introverts along with their ministers, it puts Unitarian Universalists at odds with the general population of this country, not just in terms of our faith, our comfort with ambiguity, and our value systems, but generally our core personalities are different. So not surprisingly, most psychologists agree that I don't know that for sure, but I think so. America favors extroverts. So let's think about that. We place a high value on being extroverted. By comparison, just noting that Asia, some Asian countries and Scandinavian countries, they actually value introversion more. So it's not universally human. So what does favoritism look like for all of you extroverts? Speak it up in class or at work is considered a higher value than the quiet types. They're rewarded. Life of the party is higher value than being a wallflower. Sociability is measured for academic and job qualities. And a note about sociability, most people misunderstand sociability as an ability to be active in a large group dialogue or at a party. But sociability is actually more about having healthy dialogue and just getting along. Spouses who don't share about their day or work are accused of lack of transparency or worse, lack of love. If you told me about your day, dear, I know you would love me. We shouldn't equate those. Leadership qualities and qualifications implicitly include being extroverted. Being quiet frequently results in getting marginalized, left over, and overlooked for promotions. I suspect a few of you might have experienced that. Living outside of the group norms can be potentially very stressful for people, but it also can provide opportunities. So as Unitarian Universalists, I think we offer a pretty strong position of how to navigate in these U.S. waters, you might say. So points of stress, for example, heightened anxiety. This is a core reaction to not being accepted into the group norms. It can trigger any signs of rejection within the group norms, and that triggers a core survival mechanism. It might mean death or injury. Here's another one. There are many efforts to change introverts into being extroverts. Anybody ever experienced that? A little pressure, sometimes subtle, not so subtle. Despite when people try and change us, it can't work. We are who we are. And despite my shifting on my Myers-Briggs to being more introverted, what it reflects is my increasing authenticity to who I am, and feeling in the years of pressure, from peer pressure generally, but also academic and professional, to being more extroverted. I was becoming more authentic to who I am. Studies have shown that the difference between extroverts and introverts lies on a deep genetic level that manifests itself early in childhood through different neurological responses to the external stimuli of life. So that's why as parents, you start to see that inclination in your children. Just let it flow. Just let it flow. Any advice to strengthen our extroverted self is misplaced, really, potentially harmful even, where we should be celebrating and accepting who we are and finding all the gifts that both extroverts and introverts can bring. The bottom line is there is no one dominant or inherently superior personality type, as many have erroneously tried to bring out in the world. So let's, instead of imposing stress, let's celebrate the introverts. So here are some things about introverts, and I know I don't need to tell you all this, but I'm doing it as a way to affirm that we introverts are not weird, right? Okay. Somebody wants to be alone, I get that. Yeah. We enjoy being alone, but not all the time. Sometimes we don't plan anything. That's cool. Quietness doesn't mean nothing is going on in our head. In fact, everything is going on in our head. We just don't say it out loud. Need time to process our emotions. Just be patient. We'll get there. Don't visit unexpectedly, please. Good idea to text or call before you show up. Even that can be invasive texting and calling. We're rarely bored. We entertain ourselves really, really well. Quiet and shy are not the same thing. I am not shy. You may have noticed. We're observers, and this is fun for us. From the big stuff to the little stuff, we're constantly observing. Public spaces are fine, but not crowds. That's hard. Small talk is challenging, particularly the weather. Deep talk is inviting. Just go there. We're pretty self-sufficient. Here's something to celebrate. We adapt according to our context. We just need to pay attention when we do it. So certain characteristics we can emphasize more in the workplace, and then we emphasize it more who we are at home, which is why I'm a professional extrovert and a personal introvert. Of course, this applies to other characteristics as well. I'm very scheduled. I can organize a conference for several hundred people professionally. But my personal preference is for vacation is to get in the car and to see where it goes. And true transparency, there's likely to be a dog in the back seat, or two, or three. When I met my beloved husband, I knew he was going to be a great match for me for many, many reasons, but one of them was that he's more introverted than me. I could not have married a strong extrovert. So Mark does not expect a whole lot of me, particularly Sunday afternoons. He just makes pizza for me and lets me have the remote control. But he knows I'm fine being alone just as he likes to be alone. We can be alone in the same room very comfortably with each other. This past week, I had to explain to yet another person that, yes, I biked by myself from Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C. last summer for 6 days. It was just me and my bike and my music, and I loved it. I had beautiful river views the whole way. I was not lonely, despite being alone, and this was fine for me. I also love skiing, sailing, and hiking alone. Again, in true transparency, when I'm on foot, I do often have a dog, or two, or three. And yet, being alone all that time is not always healthy. It is so important to have time in community. I keep and cultivate a close group of friends and colleagues, and I am deeply committed to creating and supporting religious community. Give you an example, back in the spring and summer of 2006, in 2006, I experienced in a month's time multiple deaths, the most impactful being my mother. And the day before her was her brother, my uncle, and then a couple weeks later was a beloved church member, and then my dog, Dobie, died. I was an emotional wreck. I took time off in July to heal. I traveled, saw friends. We returned to work in August, and I immediately realized I was not ready. And the board of trustees at my church immediately encouraged me to take another week off, but this time to disappear, to go on retreat. So I booked a hermitage up at Mount St. Benedict in Erie, where I was serving the Meadville congregation at the time, just north of here, and my husband has been an oblate there for many, many years. And every day I had breakfast and lunch in my hermitage. I read, I reflected, I surrounded myself with photos of family and friends and my beloved dog, Dobie. But every evening, I left the hermitage and walked over to the sisters, where I joined them for the evening watching of the news and then a meal. I kept one foot in my isolation and retreat and one foot in community. And that I knew by the end of the week, I was ready to go back into full blast of ministry. It was so important to me. So what does Unitarian Universalism do with our introverted flock? Well, a couple of weeks ago, I experienced what we should not do. I was visiting another UU church in the area for a special event, and I walked in. There were several people there, quite a few actually, including members, but no one welcomed me. 2 or 3 looked right at me, stared at me, like I was from outer space, kind of stare. I stood there for a while to see how long this would go on for. It was a little test. I gave up, and I went and found a seat. Engaging in hospitality, I know, is hard for us introverts. It is hard, I get that. But we have to be able to push past our resistance. We have to be able to open ourselves up to welcoming the stranger, welcoming people we know only their faces. It's so important to do because Unitarian Universalists has something to offer introverts as well as the extroverts. We have at our core an invitation into a deep religious exploration that is distinctly personal and meaningful to our unique life experiences. No one else does this work. I think it is amazing, I truly do, that we engage in a deep religious experience that truly brings meaning to the lives of people, particularly in this time and age. So we have many values that we offer people. We just read them at the beginning of the service, but I'm going to highlight 2, not in any order. But because we focus on a horizontal covenantal relationship rather than the vertical relationship of what we might call the God or divine, we focus on each other through a covenant, and in so doing, we hold the value of generosity, which Mac also highlighted. It comes from that practice of gratitude and hope, and those have deep roots in our theological history. And I know this world needs generosity and hope. We also are committed to the practice of pluralism, where we accept and we affirm our theological journeys, and that we recognize that we change with life experience and find ways in which we find meaning. Generosity and pluralism. These are core Unitarian Universalist values that this world needs, that this country needs. So for all of those introverts out there with our internal processing, let that be celebrated and expected. Let us give you space to think and process. You are welcome here, even in your quiet internal ways and your need to be hanging out on the walls at times. But we also invite everyone to step forward now and then, to come in and greet and welcome one another. So here's my charge to you today: to occasionally step out of the comfort zone of your pew. I know there are places where we find our comfort zone in our little pews, but we need to step out now and then. We can't always ask the extroverts to be welcoming at the door, but we want to thank them for been doing it for all this time. So we cannot hide our message right now with our quiet ways. We need to open our doors as wide as possible and claim from the bell tower, from our bell tower, that we are open for business. And as a religious community, that we are brave, that we are curious, that we're compassionate thinkers, and that we are doers, engaged in the act of saving this world. That we have our spirituality in our community, but it's beyond the boundaries of this building. And we are working for justice, and we are speaking out in our lives and in our world. That we are open for business. That we are ready to stop being wallflowers and to seek each other out in the pursuit of compassion and justice. I ask you to please recommit yourselves to the community of radical hospitality. Blessed be. Amen. Ashe. I invite you to rise and shift out of your pews as we bring our voices together for one of my favorite hymns, 1068, Rising Green. The words are found in our heart as well as our program. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go out into this world, my beloved, go out into this world recommitted to ensuring that the message that we share in this world is of hope and love. Speak them, act them, go out into this world knowing that you might just be pushing your comfort zone a little bit. And thank you for that. We're helping save this world, one person at a time. Go forth, return again in love and hope. Blessed be.